Hello and welcome everyone. This is Type V3 and let's dive into the virtual reality world with Max Factory's Figma Kirito, infamously known as the beta testing cheater in the VR MMORPG Sword Art Online. Going by modern character design standards, Kirito is a fairly basic looking figure. His attire isn't very complex, it's all one color, and he doesn't have physics-defying anime hair. Don't be mistaken though, Kirito is anything but boring and the strength of his aesthetic is in his unified simplicity. While the majority of the figure may be painted black, its matte finish comes off as timeless and classic. The white line stripes make for a distinctive look, and the silver buckles found throughout the body give the outfit that little bit extra. Kirito's straightforward appearance is what makes him stand out in a sea of figures who vie for attention through the use of vibrant colors and aggressive shapes. Being a 16-year-old boy, Kirito is appropriately scaled at 5.5 inches tall, and the figure's proportions definitely suit that of a teenager. The dark color scheme masks almost all the jointing inconsistencies, and the large black worm coat gives him an intimidating silhouette. The only real troublesome spot involves the use of a huge Figma joint for the knees. It just looks strange from the back. On the other hand, you usually never notice this area thanks to that long coat. Speaking of which, the two-piece construction can look odd at times, but I've never had too many issues with it. Kirito comes with 3 expressions, all of which capture the likeness of the character perfectly. His standard happy-go-lucky face is the one I like best and suited in most situations. Next is the lazy or confused face, which works great for more comedic purposes. Last is his mouth-open combat face, which I'm not really a big fan of. It just looks like a pink blob. I would have much preferred a stoic look or an angry, teeth-clenched expression. Figma Kirito can be described as having fairly standard articulation, or at least as far as modern Figmas are concerned. He's got everything that you'd expect, all the main stuff, ankle rockers and really good elbows and knee joints, and they can swivel everywhere there is a joint. His only real weakness is the torso. There's basically the waist and the upper ab crunch. There's really no back and forth movement there, or at least not as much as I would have liked. And that's really disappointing considering this is a sword-wielding character, so a lot of dynamic sword poses are lost immediately. As for the scabbard here, yes, you can just pull that off. And so, for a while I've been okay with the Figma articulation and the Figma body, but when it comes to characters who really need great articulation, especially in the upper body for swords and stuff, the Figma frame just doesn't cut it anymore, and I never expected him to go toe-to-toe with something like a Figure in terms of articulation, but I just wish there was a little more there to utilize. As it is right now, Kirito's great for pulling off, basic posing or comedic posing, but anything more dynamic or more really akin to what is seen in the anime, he just can't do, and it is so close to being great, but it unfortunately is not in terms of posability. 4 pairs of hands are included with Kirito. You get the expected fists and open palms, along with 2 pairs meant for wielding the weapon on his back, the Elucidator. Both the sword and the scabbard are beautiful in their construction and carry all the intricate details seen in the anime, except for the cross found at the tip of the blade. Now I'll be honest here, getting the sword into either the straight or angled hand is tough, and will require more finesse than strength. Of course, Kirito comes with the second sword as well, the Dark Repulsor. It has its own scabbard and another mounting strap so you can have both blades equipped. Like the first sword, it looks great, but is hard to get into the figure's hands. Also, each weapon comes with its own effect part, and they look absolutely awesome. Although they can be seen as a little confusing to those uneducated. Finally, the Figma stand and bag round out the contents of the box. It should be no surprise that Kirito follows the general design approach that Max Factory employs with their Figma toy line, that being form over functionality. There's no doubt that his sculpt can rival that of a statue, which is impressive for an action figure, yet despite being well articulated, the actual playability is weaker than I would have liked. Normally I would be fine with this design approach, but with Kirito it's harder to accept because he's a character who relies on a heavily articulated upper body to get the most out of his sword poses. Don't get me wrong, it's because Kirito's posability is almost perfect that this flaw is only emphasized more. As for the rest of the set, well, it pretty much mirrors my thoughts on the core figure. Good, but not quite great. The extras he comes with are nice, though it does feel a little barren. He could have used another face, a potion bottle, a rag-out rabbit, or even a pop-up interface window. The $30 price tag just seems a tad too high for what you're getting. Although, having said all that, if you're a Sword Art Online fan, then I can't help but recommend this figure. Kirito's existence alone as a seemingly uncommon male Figma figure, especially ahead of his female partner, should be enough to justify this purchase. Additionally, there isn't any other Kirito action figures on the market, so for all my complaints, I'm glad that this Soul Figma iteration turned out solid. Anyways, this has been Type V3, and thanks for watching. Although, as I alluded to earlier, this was only the first of 2 SAO Figmas, and it shouldn't be long now until the appearance of the White Knight who loves to cook.